What's up, boys? And welcome to the first ever episode of Commissioner on a Couch. I know that I said last week that I'd be writing an article every week for our fantasy football league, but due to popular demand and to make our league more like the hilarious show The League, I've decided to post a weekly video for the fine gentlemen of our brotherhood. So, without further ado, I guess I'll start off with a weekly wrap up. And let's start off with how's the air down there, who got their first win against hello, thanks to an early exit by Michael Vick due to a hand injury and a huge fumble recovery touchdown by the Pittsburgh defense against the Colts. Moving on, the amount of people in Coco's infirmary was way too much to handle, and as a result, It's So Fluffy also got their first big win of the season. Although the margin of victory was only 20 points, that was our Toyota biggest blowout of the week. So congratulations to It's So Fluffy. But unfortunately for them, they lost stud wide receiver Kenny Britt to a torn ACL, and he's going to be out for the season. An interesting note now, after 3 weeks of play, the loser of the Toyota biggest blowout of the week has rebounded the next week by being on the winning end of the trophy. So I guess that means Coco is going to be blowing out Warriors 55 this week. Or I guess it means an end to the streak. Sorry, Coco. The Redskin Warriors moved above 500 with a big win over Warriors 55. This matchup wouldn't even have been close if the Redskins had started Jermichael Finley, who's been a beast this far this season. And like I said last week, the Redskin Warriors are definitely a team to watch out for. So last week the weekly spotlight was on Can't Buy Experience, and because of that, I think they got a huge 130 to 125 victory against Oak Nation in the highest scoring matchup of the week. What's more amazing is that they got the win even though Can't Buy Experience had two starting running backs who had a grand total of 2 points, which is pretty ridiculous. Finally, in the biggest game of the week, which was the Stingers against the average JPs, the Stingers proved too much to handle for the JPs, and they're off to a quick 3-0 start this season. Earlier this week, I was talking to the general manager of Can't Buy Experience, and I told him that I thought the only way the JPs could lose with a roster like theirs was with poor roster decisions, and that's pretty much what happened this week with Stevie Johnson, who got 15 points, Ahmad Bradshaw with 19 points, and Julio Jones with 11 points on the bench, riding the pine like they had fourth line minutes or something. Anyways, not even a ridiculous week by Wes Welker, who got like 35 points or something, could save the JPs. And to give some credit to the Stingers, who still put up 115 points to get the victory. So let's move on to a new segment that I'd like to call Ants's Awesome Advice. So this week I decided that I'd be addressing everyone's team needs. And once again, we'll start off with how's the air down there. So this team, I think they could definitely use another running back. Aside from workhorse and first overall pick Adrian Peterson, the running back depth on this team is lagging, and I'd like to put the blame on D'Angelo Williams because this guy got paid, and he's pulling Chris Johnson and sucking the bagpipes right now. Moving on to the Hello Squad has 7 wide receivers on their roster. 7, count them. But after Brandon Marshall, I don't think there's really a legitimate number 2 threat on this team. And I'd be willing to bet pretty big money that this team's general manager definitely regrets taking Chad Ocho over Wes Welker in our draft about a month ago. What a terrible decision that was. As for It's So Fluffy, before the season started, I would have definitely told you that this team was in serious need of a star quarterback. But this is week 4, and Cam Newton has 73 points after 3 games, so I guess that's not an issue anymore. The loss of Kenny Britt will hurt this team, but Fluffy still has Deshaun Jackson and Calvin Megatron Johnson on the team, so that's good news, as well as 2 good flex options with Nate Washington and early late to the party Doucette. The problem for this team right now would have to be Arian Foster's health. If he can't stay healthy, then this team will need a running back sooner rather than later. And if he can stay healthy, then Fluffy should probably look at trying to pick up another wide receiver or maybe even a quarterback. As for Coco's finest, well, losing Peyton Manning for the season is a tough pill to swallow, but thanks to Rex Grossman, who would have thought, and Jay Cutler, who have been playing some good ball so far this season, the pain has been eased for Coco, you could say. Some nice lube for Coco's buttocks. So right now, Coco should probably focus on trying to obtain maybe another wide receiver to complement Miles Austin, who also needs to stay healthy for this team to have a chance. The Stingers. Well, there's a reason that the Stingers are 3-0, and that reason is none other than Ryan Fitzpatrick, who has been dynamite so far this year. The only potential weaknesses that I can see on this team, other than maybe a drop-off in production from either Orton, Fitzpatrick, and Kevin Cobb, who are pretty unproven, is at the defense position, amazingly enough. Having a good defense is pretty underrated in our league, but they can get you some big and important points every week. So right now the Stingers have the San Diego and Dallas defense. I don't really see them helping out too much when they need key victories later on in the season. The average JPs. Well, the average JPs, they got Ben Tate, the average JPs. So if Arian Foster comes back into the Texans lineup, he might start getting less carries, 8 to 10 carries a game, and that could be a problem, especially if Rashard Mendenhall doesn't pick up his game. He's had a rough first couple of weeks, so that could be a problem. Aside from that, I'd probably have to say that the QB depth is kind of questionable. He has two good quarterbacks in Phillip Rivers and Eli Manning, but an injury to either one of those guys would mean Jason Campbell has to be one of his starting quarterbacks, and that's never good news if you want to win. The Redskin Warriors. Biggest issue for the Redskin Warriors is depth at wide receiver. After Roddy White and Mike Wallace, the Redskins have Pierre Garcon and Nate Washington. Not Nate Washington. Ted Ginn Jr. And so far this season, neither of those last two guys have really been an option at either the wide receiver or flex positions. So if this team wants to be a contender, and I think it does, it will probably need to make another move for a wide receiver, a starting wide receiver. You can't buy experience. Although I noticed a couple of other problem areas with this team, the one major area that I couldn't look over and I couldn't believe. Well, you know what? I'll give you guys some time to guess what the problem with this team could be without looking at the pool. If you guess the defense position, then give yourself a nice little jerk tonight, because that's correct. So for the first 3 weeks of the season, this team has started the New England defense, and after 3 weeks, the New England defense has gotten, can't buy experience, a grand total of 3 points. A nice little average of 1 point a week. Nice little cherry on top of the points you're getting a week, I guess. But we got 2 words for this general manager. Come on, man. There are some good defenses still on the board. If not, make a play for another defense, because that is just terrible, terrible, terrible. Warriors 55. I see this team having a lot of the same problems as How's the Air down there, and that's having a lot of wide receiver options to play, but not many running back options. So this team also needs to make a move for a decent running back, and I think that'll help them make a serious run in the playoffs. Last but not least, Oak Nation. As you guys know, this guy has Brady and Rodgers at quarterback. What was he thinking? That's definitely the weak spot of the team. I'm joking, of course, but in all seriousness, this team is in desperate need of a running back. After a quick roster check, this team has 2 running backs on the entire roster: Cedric, I Hate the Law Benson, and Brandon Jacobs. So this GM should be all over the waiver wire right now, looking for a diamond in the rough or something, because he needs some running back help. Let's take a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back and have the end of the segment. Thanks. EA Sports. It's in the game. If your name is Corey Wawalski, please don't play this game because you suck. All right, we're back. So normally at this time we'd have the weekly spotlight, but unfortunately due to a scheduling conflict with the general manager of Warriors 55, there will be no weekly spotlight this week, and I guess we'll have to make up for it next week. So from now on, the weekly spotlight segment, will feature the GM of the team being spotlighted. So make sure you catch that next week. And thanks for watching the first edition of Commissioner on a Couch. See you guys next week. And good luck.